From South Carolina Public Radio, this is Who, What, When, an hour of history, games, and trivia. I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. And from restaurants to books to movies this week, we're looking at famous franchises from across pop culture.
That's right, Brand. Coming up later this hour, we'll see how well you know your YA fiction and horror movie franchises.
Yeah.
We'll also chat with film critic Alonso Duralde about why we're seeing so many Hollywood sequels these days.
If you'd like to join us for these games, just call or text us, 803-470-6347. One more time, that's 803-470-6347. Or you can send us an email to whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org. You will have a chance to take home the title of the Who What When Champion of the Week, which in and of itself, big deal.
Whatever.
But you could also get the trophy.
Now we're
you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
That Who What When fanny pack.
That's right. Brand, what's your favorite franchise?
Maybe it's just on the brain because the one just came out, but I love Mission Impossible. I love the movies. I love seeing Tom Cruise almost die. It's fantastic. I love it so much. It's always a good time every time. What about you? Favorite franchise?
I think I'm going to go Bojangles.
Bojangles?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Bojangles. Yeah.
Well, I can see
fast food.
Sure.
Fast food franchise.
Well, I didn't know that was about
there's one from the studio here. There's one right around the corner. The fries, when they get the Cajun seasoning on those fries, Brand, it pops.
I got to be honest. I didn't know that was an option. I thought you were talking movies. You know, if I would have gone Bojangles.
I kind of did this on purpose.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure people knew that franchises could mean anything.
You're doing a goof.
I'm doing a goof. It could mean
What
movies.
do you mean it can mean different
It
things?
could mean movies. It could mean books. It could mean restaurants. The franchise back in the day also meant the right to vote.
Okay.
Can you believe it? In the business world, it means, people that are local owners of something that is a national chain. It could be owning a sports team.
Okay.
It could be like your Mission Impossible movies, TV shows, books. There's a lot of things we can do here this week, Brent.
Well, and we actually have a bit of a franchise here at Who What When.
We do.
We do.
Okay.
And of course, as you know and our listeners know, I am the face of the franchise. That's why they call me the Branchise.
Ah, yes, of course. We call you the Branchise. That's something we do that has 100% caught on.
Well, if it hasn't, it will. Everyone here in the studio, they call me that. When I walk through the halls of South Carolina Public Radio, they're like, Branchise, where you at? And I'm sure by the end of the episodes, our listeners are going to be doing the same. They're going to be like, you go, Branchise.
I don't think that's true, Branchise.
See, you're getting it. Speaking of our listeners, I think it's time. We got two contestants on the line right now.
All right, let's get to them. Caller number one, what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Heather, and I am from Kirkland, Washington, home of the lovely Kirkland brand for Costco. So you can come to Kirkland and see the original Costco. It is very exciting.
That is one of my favorite franchises. Heather.
Wow, nicely done, Branchise. The Kirkland brand. That is why, in my opinion, among many other reasons, Costco is better than Sam's. The Kirkland brand is just—it's
a good brand.
It's a great generic brand.
So you have the original. Is that what you're saying in your small town?
Yeah.
How busy is the Costco?
I'm not
there?
a member, so
You're not a member.
Oh, it's busy.
You should.
I'm not.
You should get a membership.
Tour buses come to visit.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure you should get a membership based on your zip code or something. Like it should become part of. I don't like. You're from Kirkland.
I will write them and tell them that the franchise said.
Thank you, Heather.
I should get a free membership.
You've had a Costco hot dog, though, right?
No, I've had one of their coffee drinks.
All right, Heather. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's fine. She doesn't want to go to Costco, Brain. It's okay.
It's a great hot dog, brother. You know what I was thinking about the other day?
Oh my God.
What if, are you ready for this? Hot dog in between an Olive Garden breadstick.
No, I told.
Right?
Told Brandon
don't try to take credit.
I told Brandon
it's the franchise.
No, Brandon, I'm the one that said that to him.
Don't act like
he's lying on South Carolina Public Radio.
I wouldn't do that.
You're right. This is the podcast for sure. This is not making the radio.
It's inside of the.
Let's meet caller number 2. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hey, this is Amanda from Columbia, South Carolina.
Amanda from Columbia. Do you go to Costco, Amanda?
I do. I can represent the brand.
Okay.
And we always, listen, here's the pro tip for everybody.
Go ahead.
You go get your hot dog before you go shopping so you don't make as many wild decisions.
100. There you go.
Cuts
now
down
you're
those rash decisions.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. You sneak in a half dozen Olive Garden breadsticks.
Yes. Here's the thing.
That's a normal amount of breadsticks.
That's a normal.
Right. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
You never want to shop while you're hungry. That's the old saying. You definitely definitely don't want to shop hungry at Costco.
No,
that's a second mortgage.
Mortgage.
If you start getting everything that like tickles your fancy, good luck.
Yeah.
It can get away from you quickly.
Free samples. You can do the free
I
samples.
love a
and
free
maybe
sample,
coast
and I
through
love a
that
hot
way.
dog.
All right, we've got Heather and Amanda. We're talking franchises. Should we dive into our first game, franchise?
I would love to.
So we mentioned fast food franchises, which might not be what people first think of when they hear the word. And some of my favorite things about fast food chains are the menu items that didn't quite make it.
And I would appreciate if we could just, here on a Saturday morning, take a little moment of silence for my beloved McSalad shakers.
You loved a McSalad shaker?
It's a McSalad shaker.
You don't like a normal salad. What was it about the shaker?
The name mainly was it for me, the McSalad. It's fun to say.
You shook it up.
Yeah, it is almost as fun to say as the franchise.
The franchise,
That's
of
right.
course. For our first game, we're going to try to bring some of them back by giving them some promotion the only way we can.
How?
We're calling in an old friend to help us.
Oh, I think I know who.
It's your boy Wally Edge. This is Walter Edgar tries to sell you fast food franchise misses.
That's exactly right. We got our buddy, Dr. Walter Edgar. You know him. He is the host of South Carolina Public Radio's Walter Edgar's Journal, the podcast that's taken the storm by rage, my friend. Wally Edge, that's what we like to call him around here. He is going to try to sell us on menu items from fast food franchises that were discontinued over the years. Heather and Amanda, Walter is going to read you the description of these fast food items that didn't work out, and you will need to try to tell us what they were called.
Heather, the first question is yours here on Walter Edgar Tries to Sell You. Are you ready?
Sure.
Walter Edgar, Wally Edge, take it away.
Discontinued in the early 1990s, McDonald's thought it was a good idea to sell its customers on the idea that keeping the lettuce and tomatoes separate and cool while keeping the bottom bun topping free would mean it would be less soggy and also better tasting. Turns out they were wrong. Or maybe that's not why people go to McDonald's. Is it A, the McDry, B, the McDLT, or C, the McDesert? And man, is that dry.
Yay. McDonald's in the 90s was not my strong suit. I like the McDesert name better than the others, so that's my very informed answer.
She's going to go with McDesert. She is incorrect.
Oh, no.
We're looking for the McDLT.
The McDLT.
Yeah, the dry lettuce and tomato.
Yeah.
That's McDonald's, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a McDLT.
Dry.
That's why I go.
Yeah.
Is to make sure that my burger doesn't get soggy at McDonald's. I want a dry burger. That's what I can get.
I got to be honest, guys. You're speaking my language.
Yeah, I know. You're weird.
I love a dry.
All right, Amanda, a chance to take an early lead here on Walter Edgar Tries to Sell You. Wally Edge, take it away.
For almost a decade, beginning in 1975, McDonald's had these vegetarian items on their menu, and their lack of success paved the way to the introduction of the not-at-all vegetarian Chicken McNuggets. Is it A, onion nuggets, B, pepper nugs, or C, the McOkra?
I love all of those options. I think that's great. I don't think it's the McOkra. Unfortunately, I think it's onion nuggets. I mean, I wish it were B, but I think it's A.
Onion nuggets is correct. It is correct. Brandon, can you imagine if someone that a dry burger does speak to you, can you imagine thinking you're getting Chicken McNuggets, but instead you're getting deep fried balls of onion?
I don't even know how this was a thing. I don't understand. I don't understand how it made it to menu. Interesting.
Oh, man. All right. Well,
Onion nuggets.
Amanda, you're on the board early in our most ridiculous game. Heather, you have a chance to tie it up here. Walter Edgar sells you fast food franchise restaurant items that were discontinued. Walter, take it away.
Maybe it was because Crystal and White Castle got there first. Maybe it was because the name screamed, "It's 3 a.m. and I'm hungry." But Burger King's foray into slider-style mini burgers on figure-8 patties with co-joined buns was a big-time swing and a miss. Was it A, BK Whittle Whoppers, B, BK Burger Shots, or C, BK Short Kings?
I'm trying to envision a figure-8 bun, which just sounds like a work of art in and of itself. But I'm going For the 3 a.m. part, I'm going for the burger shots.
She listened to the question, 3 a.m. Also a swing and a miss in there for shots. BK Burger Shots is correct, and she's on the board.
There you go.
But can you imagine if it was Whittle Whoppers?
It's Whittle Whoppers.
I mean, come on. And short kings.
Short kings.
Man, I'm so proud of that question, guys. You don't even get it. All right, Amanda, it's tied up. It's Who What Wins, South Carolina Public Radio's Hour of History, Games, and Trivia. We're talking about fast food franchise misses, items that were discontinued, and our resident historian, Walter Edgar, has stooped to our level to tell us all about them. Next question, Wally.
While on the menu for quite some time in the 70s and 80s, Taco Bell's take on a sloppy Joe, hamburger bun and all, wasn't received well because, shocker, it was messy to eat. Maybe they should have lived a little less Maz. A, the Mexi Joe, B, the Border Burger, or C, the Bell Beefer.
I love all of those names. I think those are all solid. I'm going to go with the Mexijo, just pure hopefulness, because I want that to have existed.
Yeah, Taco Bell also had something called the Meximelt, but the Mexijo is actually incorrect.
Oh.
We're looking for the Bell Beefer.
I don't understand that name.
The Bell
It's
Beefer.
the Bell Beefer. The Mexijo is a better name.
The Mexijo is a better name. Amanda's right.
100%.
The Bell Beefer. Would you ever order something called the Bell Beefer?
Yes. Next question, please.
Amanda, I'm sorry to tell you, you're incorrect. The Bell Beefer, though, I don't think any of us would have guessed it. That's a
Bell
tough one.
Beefer.
It's a tie game here. We're talking about fast food franchise menu items that have gone the way of the dodo. Walter Edgar's going to tell us about another one. Heather, here comes your next question from Mr. Edgar.
Maybe not as fresh as the name implies. Nevertheless, Wendy's was so confident in their attempt to compete with Subway and Blimpies that they trademarked this name for their now discontinued deli-style sandwiches. Is it A, the Frescata, B, the Biggie Hero, or C, Dave's Spicy Surprise?
Dave's Spicy Surprise.
Well, I mean, Dave
It's Dave.
is Mr. Wendy's.
Yeah.
Wendy's dad. I'm going Frescata. There was a fresh word in the hints.
She's going Frescata. She's listening to the hints, and she's correct.
That's how you do it right there. Here
Is
on Who What Win.
correct. And she is now up 2-1.
I'm just happy it's not Dave's Spicy Surprise.
I think we all are. I think we all
I
are
would,
happy it's not Dave's Spicy Surprise.
We're calling it Dave's Spicy Surprise, and we're trademarking it quick.
All right, Amanda, a chance to tie this thing back up. We're hearing about fast food items that no longer exist from fast food franchises. Wally Edge, take it away.
In the 2010s, Arby's went mini sandwich crazy, as evidenced by this slider with pepperoni, salami, provolone, and garlic marinara. Whew, just like Mama used to make. Got any Tums? It was A, the mini Old Country, B, the pizza slider, and C, the Pizza.
So the pizza is currently a thing at a chain that I won't say. So I'm going to cross that one out. I think the mini Old Country.
She's going mini Old Country. Incorrect.
Oh, no.
That would make sense because it doesn't sound like all pizza stuff. Salami, I guess, can be on a pizza. Yeah, but it's the
Pepperoni,
pizza
yeah.
slider. Are you mad Arby's got rid of this pizza slider?
It sounds amazing. Sounds absolutely incredible.
You thinking Arby's?
Almost always.
Almost always. These are tough. These are tough, Fran.
That's really tough.
We got 2 more left. The next one's going to kill our producer, AT. I'm so excited about it. Heather, see if you can take a commanding lead here on Walter Edgar Tries to Sell You. Dr. Edge, take it away.
Little Caesars has made a name for hot and ready pizzas, which was a pivot from the pizza slogan of the 80s and 90s. But how about pasta? For a moment in the 90s, you could get this tub of pasta and breadsticks for only $8. Is it A, big bucket of spaghetti? B, huge vat of macaroni? Or C, giant bowl of farfalle?
This is a toughy tiger, I'll tell you.
This is a
all
toughy
these-
tiger.
Yeah.
I wrote Tuffy Tiger right by this one before we started.
I have no idea, but I feel like farfalle is just too fancy for Little Caesars, although I'm probably maligning them. I'm going to go with the big big bucket of spaghetti.
She said
She's
as
gonna go
reluctantly
the
as possible.
Big bucket of spaghetti. And she is correct,
Yes.
Brand. Little Caesars used to give you a giant tub of spaghetti with breadsticks for $8, and you would have been all over it.
I would have been, although I do have to correct you. It is big, not giant, and it's in the
Okay.
name. And
Yeah, that's right.
I
Big,
just
big.
need you
It's
to put
big,
some
big.
respect on the big bucket of spaghetti,
Big
please,
bucket
sir.
of spaghetti. All right, Amanda, you're going to need this one here to really make this thing super competitive for the last round. I have confidence in you. Let's see if Walter Edge can sell you on this fast food menu item that has been discontinued.
Oh, come on, hear me out. A sandwich. But the fried chicken is the bun. The sheer out-of-the-bun audacity of this idea produced an initial hit for KFC in 2010. But the heavy protein, zero-carb sandwich option has since been discontinued. Is it A, the Colonel's Cluck Bun, B, the original recipe Protein Max, or C, the Double Down?
I know this one because I have eaten this. I'm so ashamed of myself. But it's C, the Double Down. It was alarming. It should not have been offered.
It was alarming.
Amanda, don't you dare apologize. I loved a KFC Double Down.
It's the KFC Double Down. Well, here's the thing about it is if we just do the chicken as the bun.
It's chicken is the bun. And in between the two giant fried chicken breasts, we'll have cheese bacon special sauce.
That's exactly right.
And then we'll be good to go.
We'll be good to go. This is Who What When. I'm Brandon Gray here with my friend Daniel Thompson. Our topic this week is famous franchises.
Sure is, Bran. Our contestants, Heather from Washington and Amanda from South Carolina, are off to a wonderful start. Coming up after this break, we'll see how well they know their young adult franchises.
That's next here on Who What When.
Welcome back to Who What When, an hour of history, games, and trivia from South Carolina Public Radio. I'm Daniel Thompson here with my pal, Brandon Gray,
Hello.
and we've got some quizzes about famous franchises for you this week.
We're having fun, but before we get back to our games, a quick reminder that we need contestants. That's how the show
this works. And it's fun.
It is fun. If you would like to be on a future episode of Who What When, just give us a call or text 803-470-6347, or you can send us an email, whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org.
Our players this week are Amanda from South Carolina and Heather from Washington. Heather is currently in the lead, but that could change with our next game, which is all about young adult or YA franchises. And we're going to talk about them in a game we're calling Who What YA. Here's our franchise with the rules.
Thank you, Dan. Here's how it's going to work. Amanda and Heather. Dan has questions about famous young adult franchises, many of which started out as YA literature and were adapted into movies and TV shows. He's going to give you clues about these series, and you will have to tell him which YA franchise he's talking about.
Heather, the first question of this round is yours. Here we go. Pop culture spent the lion's share of the early 2000s in a tizzy over whether they were Team Edward or Team Jacob in this YA franchise that turned 3 books into 4 movies and over $3 billion. Is that A, Moonlight, B, Artemis Fowl, or C, Twilight?
It is C, Twilight, which I have never read, but it is based in Forks, Washington.
That's
so
right.
We all know about it.
Midway through the question, I realized Kirkland, Washington, going to come in handy there.
There you go.
She was going to know it because of that. I love it. Shout out to Washington. Shout out Forks.
Shout out.
Even though you haven't read it, do you have a dog in the fight in regard to Team
Edward or
Team
Jacob?
Jacob?
Gotta go Team Jacob for no real reason
Gotta go
whatsoever.
Team Jacob.
Team Jacob for no real reason. Amanda, are you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
I mean, Heather is correct.
Wow.
Not,
All right.
no, Red Flag City.
It's a double Team Jacob.
Double
battle
Team
here.
Jacob,
Didn't see it
something I
coming.
don't think I've ever seen
No,
before.
This is one of one. All right, we're playing a game called Who What YA. These are about young adult franchises.
Jacob has plenty of red flags.
So
Let's
many
not
red
act
flags.
like
Yeah.
Edward is the only one with red flags. Okay, continue.
You're clear Team Edward guy over here, the franchise. This is out of hand.
Yeah, I am.
Amanda, here's your question on Who What YA. James Dashner's book series follows a group of teenagers who must find themselves out of a massive labyrinth to find out where they are, who's pulling the strings, and how to survive in this dystopian landscape. Is that A, Aragon, B, The Maze Runner, or C, City of Ember?
I love a good dystopian novel. We're going to go B, The Maze Runner.
The Maze Runner is correct. I get the feeling we might have a perfect game in this category. Perfect round.
Can you imagine, Amanda? You got yourself the Maze Runner book. You got the KFC Double Down in your other hand, and you're just having a great day.
Having a Saturday.
That's the best day, right?
Yeah, there's no better.
There's no better
none
day.
better.
No better
All
day.
right, Heather, back to you. We're talking about young adult franchises here on Who, What, When. Here we go. Jenny Han's trilogy of novels about high schooler Laura Jean, who writes love letters to all the boys she likes, became so popular that Netflix turned them into a trilogy of movies with Lena Condor, Noah Centineo, and Janelle Parrish. Is that A, The Notebook, B, To All the Boys, or C, The Seeker?
Oh, geez. If it's not the Hunger Games, I have no idea what was going on. Let's get the Seekers. They're seeking something very important.
I like your logic, but unfortunately that is incorrect. We're looking for the To All the Boys.
To All the Boys.
The first book is called To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Yes.
And then the others are also called To All the Boys Something.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. All right, Amanda, that's the door. That's the sound of the door creaking. That sounds, first of all, that door needs to be serviced right now.
I'm trying to get
sounds
some-
a lot like the perfect game horn, which we don't have.
No, it's different.
It's different. Okay. That's the door creaking open for you to tie this thing up. Amanda, your next question here on Who, What, YA starts right now. On the success of The Hunger Games, the first book of Veronica Roth's dystopian trilogy was published in 2011, and immediately film rights for the trilogy were secured, with all three movies starring Shailene Woodley as Triss, released by 2016. Is that A, Incumbent, B, Divergent, or C, Resilient?
That is B, Divergent. I still have a bone to pick with the author about how the series finale went, but that's okay.
No,
We can
here's
talk
your
about that later.
time. Tell
No, go
Veronica
ahead.
how you feel.
Tell her. Veronica's a regular listener. Tell her.
Triss goes through books of like horror and trauma, and then she dies. I guess spoiler alert. But,
Goodness gracious,
yeah.
Amanda.
Favorite for the pod.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Amanda,
Big feelings.
you're correct and you've tied it up, but are you sure it wasn't Incumbent?
If only.
Yeah. All right, we got a tie ball game here,
Yes.
Heather. We're back to you. We're talking about young adult franchises. Here's your next question. You could possibly call them the OG YA franchise of the 20th century. This fantastical world of witches, fauns, kings, and queens found a new audience, with 3 of its series becoming feature films, while a new film is in the works from Academy Award-winning director Greta Gerwig. A, Wrinkle in Time. B, Lord of the Rings. C, Chronicles of Narnia.
They are all book series.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like the Lord of the Rings bit was before the turn of the century, but I'm also very old and time flies in a very confusing direction for me. Because I don't feel like The Wrinkle in Time was all that successful, and again, I'm probably maligning them. So I'm going Narnia.
She's going Narnia after just dogging Wrinkle in Time. Just kidding, Heather. You are correct.
I loved the book. I loved the book.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Heather. You are correct. It is the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Very excited about that Greta Gerwig adaptation.
I mean, who isn't? And
That's
also
gonna be
Wrinkle in
fun.
Time movie. That did womp.
Yeah, it did womp. You heard it here first on
was a
South
womp.
Carolina Public Radio. All right, Amanda, to tie this thing back up, your next question about young adult franchises. British author Cressida Cowell published 12 books in this YA series beginning in 2003, but millions around the world were introduced to Hiccup and Toothless through the trilogy of feature films that followed. Is that A, How to Train Your Dragon, B, Chaos Walking, or C, Mortal Engines?
That is A, How to Train Your Dragon. I have seen the movies roughly 1 million times.
Roughly a million.
My child was hyperfixated for a good little minute. So A, How to Train Your Dragon.
And what a series it is. Amanda is correct. How to Train Your Dragon is right. I read my boys the first book in the series. Nothing like the movie.
Nothing like the movie.
I mean, there is a Hiccup. There is a Toothless.
There is a dragon.
But everything else virtually about it is different. It's unbelievable.
I didn't know it was books either. That was
Yeah.
news to me. It was the first
12
one that I was
books.
not
Read
aware
the
of.
first one because they love
12
the movies.
books.
12 books.
Wow.
It was actually in the question.
Oh, yeah, it says
You
it
can
right
believe
there.
Thanks for listening, Branchise. All right, it's tied up. Heather, we're back to you here on Who What YA. Things are getting serious. Here's your next question. 7 books,
Got it.
8 movies,
Okay.
and an upcoming TV series on Max. This YA juggernaut is not without its recent controversies, but still remains some of the highest selling books of the genre. A magical feat indeed. Is that A, The Witches of Eastwick, B, Harry Potter, or C, Hocus Pocus?
While I find The Witches of Eastwick a very entertaining answer, because I'm not sure that was really children's, but whatever. And Hocus Pocus was a delightful experience at the time. 7 books, 8 movies, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter is correct.
There you go.
This is coming under the wire, Brad.
It really is.
It
I'm
is.
very excited to see who.
Yeah,
pulls
and you
this
get
one
the
out.
feeling, Amanda, this is kind of her wheelhouse.
I know it feels like she's very comfortable in this.
That's right.
in this,
Here we go. We got a few questions left. Amanda, a chance to tie this thing back up. Here we go. While the original dystopian trilogy by Suzanne Collins was turned into 4 movies, 2 prequels to the trilogy have since been released, showcasing that the staying power of the beloved book series flies far beyond Katniss Everdeen. A, The Giver. B, The Hunger Games. C, The Reaping.
I just read the second prequel a couple weeks ago, Sunset and the Reaping, so that would be B, Hunger Games.
B, Hunger Games is correct, although I believe it's Sunrise on the Reaping, so I don't know if she read it or not.
Sorry, do I get like a half a point? We can cry together after you read it.
Yeah, well, okay. Keep me posted. It's all tied up. There are 2 left. Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, your last question of the round, Heather, to take the lead once more. Because of its lack of success at the box office, only the first book in this wildly popular YA sci-fi trilogy by Rick Yancey was made into a movie, which means viewers would have to read to find out if the human population would be wiped out by the others. Is that A, The Last Day, B, The Final Breath, or C, The Fifth Wave?
My son actually read this, so shout out to him. The Fifth Wave.
Shout out.
Shout out to Heather's son. The Fifth Wave is correct. What a big one there.
That was a big one.
Thanks,
It was.
Thanks, kiddo.
Nicely
Finally
done.
Thanks for something. You know what I mean,
You know what I
Heather?
mean? That's right. All right, Amanda. I don't want to say there's a lot of pressure.
Heather, you laughed a little too hard at that.
You laughed a little too hard. I don't want to say there's a lot of pressure here, Amanda, but pretty much your only chance at a Who What When Fanny Pack is riding on this next question.
This is it. This is big.
No other way you could get one.
But, and I will just say this, Who What When Fanny Pack, almost the perfect size for a YA book.
It is. You're right. No, that's true. That's true.
Pretty
you could
darn
fit,
perfect.
I think 3 KFC double downs in there.
At least.
Yeah. 1 McDLT because you have to have a separate pocket for the lettuce and tomato.
Well, yeah, you can't. You
you can't put it's just a McDry LT.
Never the two
That's
shall
right.
touch.
How many Whittle Whoppers?
Dude,
All right.
so many Whittle Whoppers.
All right, here we go. Amanda, your last question of the round starts right now. Only the first novel in this YA series, Beautiful Creatures, was turned into a film. Taking place in the fictional town of Gatlin, South Carolina, it features strange connections through dreams and secrets that go well beyond a small town in the Palmetto State. Is it A, The Castor Chronicles, B, The Connolly Diaries, or C, Casper and the Friendly Ghost?
Listen, I love Casper and the Friendly Ghost. I don't think that's the one.
Shout out.
I'm going to go B. I mean, it is a wild guess. But yeah, let's go B.
She's going to go B, The Connolly Diaries. She is incorrect.
No.
Wow.
We're looking for the Castor Chronicles. And what a game. Amanda from Columbia, South Carolina comes up 1 question short. Thank you for playing.
Amazing.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your knowledge of YA novels that you've read and I haven't with us. We appreciate you, Amanda. Thanks for coming on Who What When.
Anytime.
This is Who What When. I'm Brandon Gray here with my buddy Daniel Thompson, and we're talking about those famous franchises this week.
Our contestant, Heather, has proven her knowledge of YA franchises enough to win the title of Who What When Champion of the Week. And now she's heading into the big guns, the final round, to see if she has what it takes to take home a sweet, sweet Who What When fanny pack.
She's going to have to wait a little bit longer because film critic Alonso Duralde is going to join us to discuss the current state of Hollywood franchises. That's coming up next here on Who What When.
Welcome back to Who What When, an hour of history, games, and trivia from South Carolina Public Radio. I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. Our topic this week, Dan, is famous franchises. Everything from famous fast food failures to well-known young adult fiction to movie sequels.
You said it, Bran, and we'll get to our final game in just a few minutes. But first, we wanted to take a little more time about that last thing you just mentioned. Movies. There seems to be no shortage of major movie franchises these days. Superhero blockbusters, animated films. They take over your multiplex pretty much all year long, whether it's a reboot or a sequel. Joining us now to discuss the history of film franchises is our dear friend and professional Alonso Duralde, the chief U.S. film critic at The Film Verdict, whose most recent book is Hollywood Pride, a celebration of LGBTQ+ representation and perseverance in film. Alonso, welcome to Who What When.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Alonso, it's wonderful to have you on the show. I want to start here. It seems like every movie these days is either a sequel or a reboot or a spinoff. When a movie like Sinners comes out and actually does well, it seems like, oh my goodness, what has happened? This movie must be really special because this never happens. That's an original idea. Is this happening because Hollywood has run out of ideas, or is this focus on franchises, is it a new thing, or is it something that's been going on for a long time and it feels like it's more now than ever?
Oh, I think it definitely goes way back. I mean, you look at a movie like The Maltese Falcon, which we think of as, this minted Hollywood classic, and that's like the third version of that novel to hit the screen. There were earlier Maltese Falcons that didn't have Humphrey Bogart in them. So, Hollywood has always been a big proponent of recycling, let's just say. But I think, we're seeing a lot more of it lately just because the bottom line is so terrifying to people, and they would rather throw money at a thing that they absolutely know that audiences want to see rather than gamble on something like Sinners, which can pay off beautifully, but can also just wind up not clicking for one reason or other. I liken it to, there's a joke in the movie Amadeus where the emperor tells a composer, people like to hear music they already know. And sequels are basically a way of making movies that people already know.
Yeah. Do we know when the shift occurred? My understanding, at least, of sequels is it used to be a pure money grab. Like I think of the return of Jaws. And now it seems like sequels cost more and they're bulkier and they're bigger.
Bigger and better than ever.
Do we know when that shift occurred?
Yeah, I think it's a constant evolution of things. Jaws definitely, I think, is part of that first wave of like, let's do it again. And here's the thing, as much as we like to complain about sequels, they do often make financial sense. Like very, very often you will see that a sequel out-earns the original, and so you can't blame them for wanting to go that way. And obviously you have a lot of, say in the case of Marvel or something, where they walk in knowing that if they're going to sign up a big actor, they're going to commit them to 3 movies, 5 movies, whatever, because otherwise if you sign somebody for one movie and it takes off, then they get to come back and ask for a whole lot more when that sequel rolls around. My favorite example is Macaulay Culkin, who got like in the low 6 figures for Home Alone, but cleared a couple of mil for Home Alone 2, So I think that it's a question of whether or not you are pre-planning a whole bunch of movies or suddenly find yourself in the position of having to get the band together and all of them, having new demands because they've all just been in a hit movie that you're making a sequel to.
The amount of franchises we see today, do you think it has anything to do with the amount of streamers that we see today? Is there any correlation between the rise of franchises and also the rise of streamers?
I think there's definitely a concern of how do we get people off the couch,
Sure.
And you look at the top 10 movies of the year from, say, the mid 80s, and you see movies like Terms of Endearment and On Golden Pond and, the kind of sort of adult dramas that it's hard to convince people they need to go into a theater to see. This year, for example, Steven Soderbergh's Black Book. Great movie. Reviews were really strong. Sexy cast, cool premise. And somehow people in their 30s, 40s who were maybe the target audience of that movie thought, well, it's going to be on Peacock in 2 months. I can wait, and then something about Sinners, thankfully, had that secret sauce of like, no, I got to run out and see this now because people are talking about this. I want to be in on the conversation. He shot it in this, incredible IMAX 70 format. So clearly it needs to be enjoyed on the big screen. But yeah, I think there is something about, even if you're lukewarm on superhero movies, you do want that big spectacle and the big stomach rattling sound that you're going to get in a multiplex. Whereas if it's an intimate drama, you think, well, that's not going to really suffer if I watch it on Netflix. And so, yeah, I think streamers absolutely play a part in the kind of movies that people are deciding to make right now.
Alonso, you're a journalist. You're a professional film critic for over 30 years. The rap on sequels is that they're not as good. That's the rap is, there's this misnomer, there's never been a good sequel, or Godfather 2 and Empire Strikes Back, and that's kind of it. When you have to go review a sequel, I know you love your job, but is that within the film criticism world, the professional criticism world, is there a natural bend toward why are we doing this that there's an additional hump a movie has to clear because it could very well just be the same movie again?
Well, I think Roger Ebert once famously described sequels as a filmed deal. That basically the first movie was somebody's passion project or somebody thought it was going to be new and exciting, and a sequel is like, well, we have to do this because it's going to be financially remunerative to us. I try to walk into everything as open as possible and as, without kind of preconceived notions of this is going to be great or this is going to be terrible. It's a little trickier with the sequel, obviously, because, you are dealing with a prescribed set of things that you pretty much know you're going to get. And I think there are good sequels out there that have dared to kind of violate that contract. And a movie like Gremlins 2, The New Batch, for example, I think is genius. But that's a movie that not only sort of spins the tone of the first film, but actively kind of makes fun of the first film in some ways, which I think is really bold and just makes it a lot of fun. And audiences did not flock to it then, but I think it's definitely amassed a cult following over the years. So you never know. I just saw 28 Years Later, and that's a movie that does not follow any kind of roadmap that you think a movie called 28 Years Later would. So, I think if you can find a way to be creative and different and defy audience expectations within the parameters of a sequel, which is so often created to completely fulfill audience expectations, then, you're really onto something.
What's your take on the live action remake of animated movies from way back, or even like Train Your Dragon, which is a relatively new animated trilogy that just got made into a live action? And I feel like every time one of these comes out, the consensus is, well, that was fine, but why? But they keep doing it. So
money.
Why?
Yeah, again, they are really successful.
Yeah.
The opening weekend of the live action How to Train Your Dragon outgrossed the opening weekend of any movie called How to Train Your Dragon. But yes, I think from an artistic standpoint, you were always left with the feeling of there's already a better movie with this title out there. And so again, talking about defying expectations, probably my favorite of these was Pete's Dragon, because it borrows so little from the original. It's, the original movie was not a hit for Disney. It was not a film that a lot of people sort of, hold to their collective bosom. So they had the freedom to be like, what if we take the basic premise of a kid and a dragon and then just do something entirely different with it? But otherwise, I think you get a lot of movies that are sort of trapped into this roadmap of following the path. And it's just sort of like, okay, I don't really know why we're doing this half the time, except that they are successful and there are audiences that want to see them, and there are kids who loved the movies the first time around are now parents and are taking their own kids to see them. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the moment where we run out of them.
Well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen because what they're making now, they're going to live action in 10 years.
It's a cycle.
Yeah. They'll do a cartoon of sinners.
Yeah.
Would watch. Yeah.
Sure, count me in.
Why were there, I know that you said you gave the Maltese Falcon as an example, but why were there fewer just direct sequels in kind of the golden age of Hollywood?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if it's something about the age of television that sort of expected people to kind of come back week after week for basically the same thing. I think that the idea was sort of looked down upon. I mean, like The Godfather Part 2 was literally the first movie to use Part 2 in the title. And not that there weren't series before then, whether they were serialized films or, like the Blondie comedies based on the comic strip, there were like 10 or 12 of those that would come out every few months. But yeah, I think that they were operating on a grander scale, and particularly once television itself comes into play, movies are trying to achieve kind of a grander canvas, the eternal struggle of getting people off the couch and back into a movie theater for something. And in the 50s, that often came down to scope and size and, width of screen and color and stereophonic sound and all that stuff. And yeah, I think that there's a shift in history where the original studio moguls genuinely loved movies. They might not necessarily have loved art per se, and they were as business minded as anybody, but they did really love the medium. And slowly, like so many other things in American life, the bean counters come in and the large corporations come in, and you have studios suddenly becoming like the entertainment division of some giant conglomerate that sells shoes or owns parking lots or, is a weapons manufacturer or whatever. and those guys are all about like the bottom line above all else. And so suddenly the bottom line means, well, we're just going to do that again and hopefully get the same results, if not more.
Obviously, as a film critic, you get to see a lot of movies. Is there a film franchise that kind of crosses the line for you from I have to I get to? Like, I'm really excited about the next whatever it is?
I have to say, like, I have enjoyed more Marvel movies than I haven't enjoyed, So I think that for the most part, that's been a pretty entertaining franchise. Obviously, whenever we get a new Bond movie, that's always managed to be feel like an event of some sort or other.
Sure.
But yeah, it's sort of part of the gig, but not necessarily something where, I'm super excited about yet another whatever. And I think there are some franchises that obviously have been great and will probably be great, but maybe need to make us miss them a little. You know, when they announced that we were going to go a year without a Marvel movie, like, okay, that's good. Let us, we used to wait years for Star Wars, and they just were pumping them out there for a while there between the TV shows and the movie. And it's like, let us miss you, franchises. Like, build up some anticipation so we're not just like, oh, this again.
We're going to edit that whole incredibly articulated answer to just say the Dark Knight trilogy, and we can move on. Alonso, tell us about your book, Hollywood Pride, Celebration of LGBTQ plus Representation and Perseverance in Film.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's a history of queer Hollywood on screen and off. So it talks about film representation, but it also talks about the many men and women behind the scenes over the decades, really over the entire history of cinema, who have been essential in kind of creating the medium as we know it. I mean, from the earliest days of film, there have been LGBTQ plus artists and craftspeople and actors, who have been an essential part of making cinema happen. It's part of a TCM series of books, which kicked off with Donald Bogle's wonderful Hollywood Black, and then Luis Reyes's insightful Viva Hollywood, which is about the Latino Hispanic experience in the studio system. And so, this one is an attempt to kind of trace the history of Hollywood through the many queer people who made Hollywood happen, as well as some international films that had a big impact with U.S. audiences.
It's a fascinating read. I read it. It's fantastic. In my reading of it, what you start to realize is that the history of queer cinema, a lot of it is the history of cinema. That's exactly one. And two, and I'd love for you to talk about this, especially here in South Carolina, we kind of think Hollywood and progressive, but what you learn in this book is historically some of the most anti-queer people on the planet was actually Hollywood in the golden age of Hollywood. So can you just get into that just a little bit about that, what you could find in this book?
Sure. Yeah. I think there's always been a dichotomy within the film industry in terms of what it allowed for people who work there in terms of tolerance and openness, but at the same time being, again, concerned with the bottom line, very worried about what, people in South Carolina and other places that weren't Hollywood were going to think about things. I think the big sort of manifestation of that is the implementation of the Hays Code, which comes in the early 30s and lasts through the late 60s, where you have this very complicated and rigorous set of sort of censorship demands upon film of what you can't show and what you can't talk about, and how, they sort of tried to wink their way through it or sort of slip things in without anybody noticing. But yeah, I think there's a real conservative streak to the film industry, and mainly it's a panic out of like, well, we don't want to ruffle feathers. We don't want to like disturb people or have them stop coming to movies. Even the Hays Code was implemented because local censorship boards or local church groups would try and like take the scissors to movies as they were coming to town. And so Hollywood decided to take point on this and be like, all right, we're going to give you this stuff, and it's going to, pass by these content restrictions. And that way, we can all, you can all buy your tickets and feel good about it and not come after us. So yeah, as much as people like to think of this as Sodom by the Sea, it is a corporate town.
It's a fascinating read. I would highly recommend you check it out. Alonso Duralde is the chief U.S. film critic at The Film Verdict, whose latest book is Hollywood Pride, a celebration of LGBTQ+ representation and perseverance in film. You can hear more of his thoughts on movies on Linoleum Knife, a podcast of the cinema, the podcast he hosts with his husband, Dave White. Alonso, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is Who What When. I'm Daniel Thompson here with my co-host Brandon Gray, and we're having a lot of fun talking about famous franchises this week.
It's the franchise, but yes, you get it. Before we get back to our final game today, we want to remind you that we would love for you to take part in a future episode of Who What When. All you got to do is call or text us. It's simple. 803-470-6347, or you could email us, whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org.
Our contestant, Heather from Kirkland, Washington, made it through our first two rounds today to become the Who What When Champion of the Week. She now has a shot at the coveted Who What When fanny pack. She just needs to get through our final game today.
Yes, and it's one that we're calling Freaky Franchise Day. Heather, Dan has questions all about horror franchises, and for each one, you will just need to identify the correct franchise. I think it sounds fair. Do you think it sounds fair?
Absolutely.
All right, let's dive in. Here we go. Heather needs 6 correct answers to get that fanny pack. Here's your first one. Wes Craven was considered a master of horror movies long before he launched arguably his most successful horror franchise, a clever film starring Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, where the killer is already in the house and also keenly aware of tropes found in other horror movies. Is it A, Saw, B, Scream, or C, The Fog?
Oh, I was thinking a totally different franchise. I was thinking it was one of these I Know What You Did. So I'm going Scream.
She's going Scream, and she is correct. She is right. I Know What You Did Last Summer does have some similar qualities to Scream, and it is coming back. So not a bad train of thought there. And you got it right, Heather.
There you go.
You won 1 down, 5 to go. Freaky Franchise Day, talking about horror movie franchises here on Who What When. Here's your next question. If you include when Freddy Krueger, slasher of your dreams, battles fellow baddie Jason in several spin-off movies, there are 9 films in this franchise featuring Freddy. The first featuring a young up-and-comer named Johnny Depp. Is it A, Nightmare on Elm Street, B, Halloween, or C, Friday the 13th?
Ooh, well, I know it's not 21 Jump Street. I'm going Friday the 13th.
She's going Friday the
Probably
13th.
not it.
She's incorrect. We're looking for Nightmare on Elm Street. It's the Dreams, Heather.
It was the wrong street.
Yeah.
It was, I should have gone with the street thought.
Slasher of your dreams. Your dreams. Nightmare. That was what we were going for there. That's a tough one. That's all right. You got plenty left.
Okay.
You got 8 questions left. You just need to get 5 right. We're good. We're good here.
We got this.
All right, here we go. Your next question here on Freaky Franchise Day. James Wan's original film of this now multi-billion-dollar franchise featured a story from real-life demon hunters of the Catholic Church, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. It went on to spawn several sequels, as well as several spin-offs with their own sequels, like Annabelle and The Nun. Is it A, Chucky, B, The Conjuring, or C, Hellraiser?
Yeah, we're on in entirely Tuffy Tiger territory. I'm going to go Conjuring.
She's going to go Conjuring.
Because of a nun. I don't know. I don't think nuns conjure things, but they would probably be very offended if I said that.
She's going to go Conjuring because of the nuns, and she is correct.
There you go. Doesn't matter how you got there,
2
Heather.
for 3.
You got it right.
That's right. She's pacing. She's pacing
That's
to do
right.
it. You need 4 more right to get that fanny pack, Heather.
4 for
what an
fanny.
opportunity in front of you here. Here we go. We're talking horror movie franchises. Otherwise known as roughly a month, half a year, and a quarter century, this Danny Boyle-directed franchise put a new fright into the zombie universe, with Cillian Murphy running for his life against the undead that could sprint at Olympic-level speed. Is it A, Final Destination, B, 28 Days Later, or C, the number 23?
Shout out to Entertainment Weekly, but 28 Days Later sounds like the best option.
28
Perhaps
Days
the right
Later
one.
sounds like the best option, perhaps the right one. She is correct.
Wow.
It is 28 Days Later.
Shout out Entertainment Weekly.
Shout out.
Which, by the way, is not the first time that publication has been
right.
shouted out on this program.
Shout out to E-Dubs. I
love
loved E-Dubs, man.
Yeah.
I was a big fan. How'd you like my clue, man? Because the movies are 28 days.
No, that was really good.
Yeah, 28 months, 28
No, yeah,
years.
it was really good,
It's
man.
really good, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, cool.
The
All right.
franchise signs off on.
We're here with Heather from Kirkland, Washington. She's halfway there.
Yep.
Living on a
Whoa.
prayer. She's 3 correct answers about horror movie franchise away from a Who Won't Win fanny pack. Here's your next one, Heather. The original film in this sci-fi horror franchise was a gritty, low-budget bottle of a movie where Sigourney Weaver survives on a spaceship. Cut to 45 years and 9 movies later, there's showdowns with other horror monsters, sequels, prequels, and prequels of sequels in this universe. Is it A, Predator, B, Jason, C, Alien?
Alien. It's the only movie of all the ones listed so far that I actually saw.
Alien is correct. Heather saw that one. Heather, you just need 2 more right.
That's it.
And 2 more right gets you that fanny pack. Let's go on to the next one here. The Moral Dilemma killer, played by Tobin Bell, had humble beginnings 20 years ago, offering to have do-batters play a game to either learn a lesson or meet their untimely demise. This franchise has lived longer than its killer, with the 11th film hitting screens. Is that A, Omen, B, Saw, or C, Amityville Horror?
Well, I'm pretty sure Amityville Horror has not had that many movies. I really like the term do-batter. I feel like do-batters go along more with omens than with saws.
She's going to go with Omen. She is incorrect.
Do-batters use saws. That's unfortunate for me.
If do-batters use saws, and if you'd known that, I almost had the question saying with the 11th film cutting into theaters, and I just thought maybe that was too much. All right. Okay.
My entry into the Saw franchise was with its 10th movie.
Yeah.
I decided I'm going to start with number 10.
What a way to do it.
Which is how I think everybody should enjoy franchises.
And then I explained to him the Saw reveal music. That
Yes,
it
and
literally,
so I have since gone back and
the
watched
music
one.
that plays at the end of every movie when the twist happens. Ba-na-na, ba-na-na, ba-na-na. Okay. Heather, there's 4 questions left. You need to get 2 of them right,
Okay.
and you got yourself a fanny pack.
Fitty-fitty.
You're in a great spot here. Okay? Here we go. John Carpenter's 1978 classic is how many celebrate its namesake, along with making a name of actor Jamie Lee Curtis and giving us Michael Myers, the silent killer that refuses to die. Is that A, Friday the 13th, B, Insidious, or C, Halloween?
Ooh, I thought I had it for a minute there, and then I started to rethink things. I'm going Halloween.
She's going Halloween, and she's got it. That is the fifth one correct.
She's good.
I must have read that in Entertainment Weekly.
She must have read it. Shout out, Entertainment Weekly.
Shout out.
Man, getting a lot of play here for a magazine that's no longer in publication.
You can pick it up at your local Costco.
Local Costco, that's exactly right. All right, Heather, let me just set the stage for you.
This is big.
There's 3 questions left. All you need is to get one of them right.
That's it.
And you are going to take home a fanny pack.
That's it.
It's that easy. Are we ready to roll?
But the pressure.
That's right. Here we go. For one night a year, crime is legal. A terrifying premise for this franchise that made bukus of money off of the idea that everyone can let loose for a night in this dystopian world that feels shockingly and unfortunately familiar. Is it A, The Purge, B, The Fog, C, The Ring?
Don't think it's The Ring. And The Fog was, I believe, about fog. So I'm going The Purge.
Hold on, I'm behind Heather.
So
I'm taking
you're saying-
notes. The
so give
fog
it
was
to me-
about fog, is
give it
what
to
you
me
said.
one more time.
Fog was
Yeah, that's what I think I
fog.
said.
Fog.
I think The Fog was scary. I
Fog
could be very wrong, but
equals
I'm
fog.
going with The
Yes.
Purge as my answer.
We'll get the fact checkers on it
All
for
right,
sure.
she's going to go with The Purge, and she is correct.
Oh, she did it.
She's done it. She said she didn't know her horror movies, but here we are.
How about that?
Franchise week, and Heather is our champion and winner of a Who What When fanny pack. Heather, congratulations.
I'm just so very excited. I'm going to make plans for places I can go with the fanny pack.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You can put your new Costco card in it.
I could.
And a Costco hot dog would fit well in it.
Yeah, now we're
Opportunities
talking.
are really endless.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Heather,
Heather.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for playing with us today and joining in on the fun here on Who What When and winning yourself a fanny pack.
And now I'm going to have to go look up and see if The Fog was really about fog or not.
You got
fog
this.
is fog.
Report back
You
to
got
us.
it.
And that'll do it for our famous franchise episode. This is the Franchise here saying thank you to our contestants, Heather and Amanda, for playing with us today. And a big round of applause once again to Heather for taking home the title of the Who What When Champion of the Week.
Our producer is A.T. Shire. Our executive producer is Sean Birch, who hopes to one day own a Willy Wonka chocolate factory franchise. This show is a production of South Carolina Public Radio and is made possible in part by listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina.
Join us for an episode of Who What When. Just call or text us 803-470-6347 or send us an email to whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org.
You can find out more about the show at our website, southcarolinapublicradio.org/whowhatwhen.
And you can listen to an extended version of the show in your favorite podcast app or through your smart speaker.
I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. Join us again next week for more history, games, and trivia right here on Who What When.